So there is some rumblings about a potential new stadium, but maybe not in downtown Cleveland, Ohio. But, I read an article and it basically said, it was quickly built, inefficient. What are your thoughts, man? Are you excited about the potential for maybe a dome or, talk to me about it.
I think it would make our lives easier if we played indoors. I understand aesthetically it doesn't feel right to some people, but I would just say, have you been in some of these new domes? Like the old domes, I get why people didn't want the old domes, right? The RCA dome, even up to like the Ford Field in Detroit. I don't know if you guys ever been there. It's not like a great environment, right? Like it feels pretty sterile. And that's what my opinion of domes were. And then I went to Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was like, this is the way to do it. It feels great. It always feels great in there. It's very, very comfortable. It almost ruins all other venues for you. So if you could build something like that, I'm all for it. Indoor or outdoor, there's ways I've heard great things about Minnesota Stadium and how they kind of replicate that look there. Even things about Indianapolis's dome. There are ways to do it right. And my thing with whatever new stadium they build, I would prefer it be indoors because, I've been in that stadium when it's in the late part of the season when the team's not good. And that's just pain for no reason, right? Like, why are we putting people through pain for no reason? Where it's like, people don't understand, the higher you get up in that stadium, the harsher the winds are. And the wind, like, people don't understand this. They're not from the Midwest. The wind is what's cold. It's not the temperature. 32 is not that cold. Right. But when it's windy in 32 and you're up there and it's 32, it's a horrible experience. And why, if somebody is spending season tickets, why should they be miserable for 4 games out the year when that doesn't have to be an option? Either way, whatever they do, it can't be a half-ass stadium, right? Like if you're going to do a stadium, give it the full build time. Now it's going to be weird. Like, I don't know where you would build the stadium if it's not going to be in the city of Cleveland. Like, I don't know where that would, like, are we going to play in Canton? That would feel off. That would feel wrong. But like, I honestly, at this point, I want the luck to change. So like, if we got to move the location of where the stadium is, dude, like this location ain't been working.
No, it's all bad juju, man. It's all bad.
I've been a huge.
It is
good.
Go ahead. I was
gonna say, I've just been a huge pro dome guy the last couple of years, and everybody's always in our comments saying, why would you take away that home field advantage for the Browns? And my pushback always is, what home field advantage? We've won 1 playoff game in my life. So how much of an advantage is the cold weather?
Here's the thing, too. The way the league's going, if you're a northern team that plays in the conditions within a passing league, you're not giving yourself the advantage to win. And if you want proof of that, how many times has Aaron Rodgers been to the Super Bowl despite being one of the most prolific passers of his generation?
Yep.
And it's mainly because he's so good, they get home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and it burns them. Like, it literally burns them at the end of the day, right? You don't want to be in a situation where you're like, damn, we got home field advantage. Now we can't throw the ball as much. Like, that's not what we want. I want to be able to have the home field advantage, the crowd noise, the crazy environment, the dog pound, everything in there, but not have to worry about if the conditions we're going to play in are going to affect it. And look, I understand people are like, well, we need to build a football team that can win in those conditions. Well, Derrick Henry ain't been to an AFC championship game yet. You know what I mean? So like that's as much as you could build a team around running the football. That's as far as you can go in today's NFL. You have to be able to throw, and in a passing league, you're gonna have to be able to pass in the late parts of the season in order to get to the Super Bowl. And the team that plays in the most south part of the AFC and did not have home field is the one that went to the Super Bowl in the AFC in like the last 10 years, right? Like, that's not a mistake there, right? And even them, they are a pass-heavy team. So it's really about setting yourself up for success versus like, do we want to keep the cool nostalgic vibes of it's outdoors and it snows and we play in that cold weather. We gonna forget about that 5 years after they built the dome. We ain't gonna care about that now 1 second, because you know what's dope about a dome? Being in the dome.
That's
and
right.
The second somebody sits in the dome, it's like, oh, this is so much better than being outside.
That's a really,
it is. It just is, especially these new domes.
It's a good point, because you think about that Buffalo game, the snow game. You know, they didn't move it to another outdoor, you know, cold weather neutral site to keep the elements. They moved it to a dome.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I bet the Buffalo Bills would have wished that the game they played against Cincinnati in the playoffs was played in a dome.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, this is like, you don't want things that aren't football to affect why you don't win football games.
100%.
And every time I see about a tragic Cleveland Browns game, it's because of something to do with the weather. Why did he fumble the ball? It was cold. That ball was hard. Why did John Elway was able to go 99? The defense was cold because they were sitting on the bench for a while. It was -30 that day. Why did he check into this? He was cold. Why do we allow the cold to be an opponent? We have a hard enough playing the Browns every Sunday. We don't need to play the Browns, our opponent, and the weather. Like, you know, I feel like 2-on-1 is enough, you know, but that's just I know a lot of people are attached to the ideal of, you know, playing outdoors because that's all they've ever seen Cleveland Browns football in. And that's what makes it feel like Cleveland Browns football to them. And I understand that, but I also understand that, look, 2 years after you get that dome built and you get used to them, if they go 12-4 in that dome, dog, you ain't gonna be talking about it. Don't feel like football. You know what I mean? Yep. Like, it's just gonna become the new vibe. So, like, again, like, we cling on to this because we just don't have much to cling on to, because this team has literally stunk, like, been one of the worst franchises since 2013. Like, it's not even debatable. But, you know, the hope is you built the dome, you have success, and then we can, you know, have more success, because right now a lot of us aren't even talking about memories we have in this stadium that we want to replace. We talk about memories that we had in the stadium that's been replaced for 20 plus years.
Yep.
That's why that people want to hold on to this. So if the Browns get to an AFC Championship game in the Dome, dog, we will forget about all of our trepidations about the Dome the second we get an AFC Championship game. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I don't think we will care as much as we care right now when it's hypothetical. Then when we're just like, well, they play in a dome, you know? And sometimes I think teams just need to say, you'll be all right. You'll be mad for like 2 days, but you'll be all right. You'll sit in the dome, be like, oh, look at the big scoreboard. Look how I can see it. You want to see fantasy football scores in the stadium like Browns fans? Because you don't see it in half the stadium at Cleveland Browns Stadium. Get a dome. They put screens all over the place. You ain't got to worry about weather damage and nothing like that. It's great. We don't have to worry about kickers or nothing like that, or being the hardest place to kick. That's not worked out for us. You know what I mean? Just build a dome, throw the football, kick the football, and if we stink, at least we know it's because we stink. You know, it's just one less variable.
It's very fair.